Just when you thought Donald Trump's campaign had hit rock bottom, he managed to take it even lower, this time in the pivotal battleground state of Pennsylvania. Now, before we get into this crazy deranged rally that is still going on as I record this, some good news to keep in mind is that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are set to begin their bus tour in the state of Pennsylvania starting Sunday, where they'll pick up all the undecided voters that Trump likely just alienated during his abomination of a speech. A perfectly timed bus tour, if you ask me. So without further ado, after showing up more than 45 minutes late to his own rally, here is the convicted felon claiming that there shouldn't be an election because of how much he's winning in the polls.
You know, they do polls and this stuff, and I'm at like 93%. I said, so why are we having an election? They didn't have an election. Why are we having an election?
We did have an election, and you lost by over 7 million votes. And fun fact, Donald Trump is currently losing in the polls, trailing Kamala Harris in virtually all 7 battleground states, including Pennsylvania, where he's losing to Harris by 1 in the latest New York Times Siena poll, though I predict he'll sink even further after this bit where he seemingly hits on somebody's wife in the crowd.
And supposedly, they're happily married. How the hell does that work? Look at them. They're beautiful, and there's a husband. Are you a husband? Who are you married to, husband? Oh, that was a wise choice. Beautiful. Very nice.
You just heard a 78-year-old married man and adjudicated rapist call women in the crowd beautiful during a presidential rally. Just disgusting. Speaking of disgusting anti-Semitism, here is Trump once again claiming that Jewish people who don't vote for him need to have their head examined.
Now, we can be politically correct and not say that. I could say, well, they turned him down for various reasons. No. They turned him down because he's Jewish. That's why they turned him down. And I'll tell you this, any Jewish person that votes for her or a Democrat has to go out and have their head examined.
I guess I will be getting my head examined this November, as will most Jewish Americans who don't like being lectured by a guy who eats dinner with neo-Nazis. Alright, so as you've heard thus far, Donald Trump has not brought up Kamala Harris, his opponent. That's because he has no idea how to message against her, which is why he resorted, yet again, to more recycled racist attacks against former President Barack Obama.
Barack Hussein, did you ever hear of Barack Hussein Obama? Have you heard of him? There are those that think he is currently running the country. Does anybody think?
No, he's not running the country, and yes, Donald, we've all heard of him. He's the guy who handed you a booming economy that you would go on to wreck in your one failed term. Which reminds me, here is job killer Donald Trump claiming that he should get all the credit for the stock market highs and that Biden and Harris will usher in a second Great Depression to a rather silent reaction from the crowd.
The stock market is only up because they think I'm going to win. And if we don't win, according to many people, including one of the greatest Wall Street prognosticators, Scott Bessent. Has anyone heard of him? One of the most brilliant guys on Wall Street. If I don't win, you will have a 1929 style depression. Enjoy it. I believe that. I believe that. I believe it.
So much joy and optimism this guy is campaigning on. Oof, that was not a good reaction to his go-to line from 2020, which, by the way, didn't materialize, as is evident by the record stock market highs under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, the ones that Donald Trump continues to try to take credit for. In fact, Trump was so thrown off his game that later in the speech, he forgot what state he was in and referred to their state as North Carolina.
And the tent is set up. They have hundreds of them, and they wait. And then I walk in, speak for 15 minutes, and leave. I don't know. Somehow, would that be okay, North Carolina? I don't think so, right?
Psst, Donald, that's Pennsylvania, the state you lost and tried to overthrow in 2020. Remember? Guys, his age is really showing these days, and his age showed even more when he started rambling about TiVo.
Yesterday in her speech, I think she said, I had to play it back. You know, I love the playback controls you have nowadays. They used to call it TiVo, now they have TiVo, I think it's the single greatest invention.
No offense to TiVo, but this dude is a relic of the past. Not to mention he has completely lost his ability to campaign and articulate any policy. No. Instead, here he was to a bored out of their minds crowd claiming that he's better looking than Kamala Harris.
But I say that I am much better looking than her. I think I'm much better looking. Much better. I'm a better looking person than Kamala.
So we have reached the point in the race where the spray-tanned felon believes he is better looking than Kamala Harris, who he also believes has AI-generated crowds, which I think is a perfect place to end my coverage of this dumpster fire of a rally. Like I said, Harris and Walz are going to have a jolly old time connecting with voters on their bus tour in this state, including disillusioned Republicans who simply cannot tolerate Donald Trump any longer. How could you after listening to that garbage? P.S. The DNC begins next week in Chicago, which will likely give Harris and Walz yet another boost to catapult them further ahead of Donald's floundering campaign. 80 days out from the election, and momentum remains on our side. We got this, guys. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode of the Gen Z Perspective. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the show and give us a 5-star review on Apple, because as you can see, the MAGA lunatics have bombarded the podcast with 0-star reviews. I think we're worth a little more than that, but I also think it shows you how terrified they are of our generation. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next time on the Gen Z Perspective. The Gen Z Perspectives theme song was created and produced by Pokari.